In February of 1997, gamers got a kart racing game that would cement the genre into gaming culture and influence every other game in the genre after it. Mario Kart 64 released for the N64 and fans couldn't get enough. This was not your grandma's Mario Kart we had seen on the previous 16-bit generation. Fully immersive 3D tracks, character designs, and a slew of gameplay options, Sony and Nintendo fans couldn't get enough of this new style of kart racing game. Due to the popularity of the game, a whole new world opened up of different types of kart racing games. Some were a lot of fun and others were an absolute train wreck. Well, in this case, kart wrecks. During this era, we saw Sony mascots, Disney characters, and even our favorite foul-mouthed cartoons get in on the action. It's too obvious that Mario Kart 64 wins the golden trophy of this era. So in this video, I'll be covering some of the more wacky and bizarre kart racing games of the 5th generation. A video covering every kart racing game of the 90s would take way too long, so strap in for this one as I discuss some of the better kart racing games from the Nintendo 64 and the Sony Playstation. A super late release by Activision, there's a good reason not many of us knew about this one. The game came out in 2001 on the PS1 and featured 12 characters from the Toy Story franchise, with only 4 unlocked at the start of the game. Players race in a combination of 12 different tracks from Andy's Room and Sid's House to Pizza Planet. There's also 7 Smash arenas for head-to-head combat. Power-ups are plentiful and this game's biggest strong point. Graphically, it's not the best, but certainly not the worst for this genre in this era, but I will say this one certainly does lack in the mechanics compared to many others on this list. It's a solid entry into the world of kart racing, but also the one geared mostly towards children of a young age, and it shows by the overall mechanics and user interface. Unless you simply enjoy playing 32-bit kart racing games and really feel the need to do so as a Toy Story character, this one is easy to skip, but does not go without its own charm. Disney certainly never had a lack of mascots, so it was no surprise when Nintendo again partnered with Rare to license the Mickey Mouse characters for its 2000 release of Mickey Speedway. Using the same engine as Diddy Kong Racing, Rare adjusted the mechanics to make this one play more like Mario Kart 64. Of all the kart racing games, this plays the closest to Mario Kart. Well-designed tracks and character models put this at the higher end of the graphics rating. For whatever reason, Rare decided to create a story that sort of just got in the way of the action, so if you're just wanting to load a race, you have to sit through a couple minutes of pointless storytelling. However, with tons of track modes and power-ups, this is certainly one of my favorites of the genre in this generation. Another late-release kart racing game of the 5th gen also got a port to the Game Boy Advance, but we'll be talking about the PlayStation version here. Nicktoons Racing had to get in on the action with their own kart racing game featuring SpongeBob, Arnold, as well as the Rugrats, and yes, even Cat Dog. This is one of my favorite character-themed kart racing games, as Bill did a good job representing the characters and their associated levels like Bikini Bottom. The game has 13 playable characters and 4 different modes, and graphically, it's not too shabby. Mechanics and power-ups is the strong point of this game. Aside from plenty of on-track power-ups, each character has a built-in boost that can be recharged by collecting blue orbs throughout the track. If you're a fan of kart-based games on PlayStation, this is one you don't want to pass up on. In 1999, Square got in on the action by releasing Chocobo Racing for the PlayStation. The game featured Final Fantasy characters in a very original kart racing style game. A lot of fun with the very unique graphic style, this game features several modes. The traditional Grand Prix, multiplayer, and even a story mode that will allow you to unlock more players and even unlocks character creation mode. The race includes the traditional on-track power-ups, which are called magic stones in this game, but also includes an additional power-up you can select at the beginning of the race that recharges as the race goes on. One unique feature of this game is players can steal your magic stones by bumping into you, so be sure to use them. This certainly adds a new element to the game, because of how original and different this game is from other kart racing games of this generation. This is one you don't want to pass up on. In 1997, Rare decided to release their version of Mario Kart 64 with Diddy Kong Racing. On the surface, this just looked like another Mario Kart 64 clone, but one original aspect of this game is the ability to choose between different types of vehicles. Cars, hovercraft, and planes. Each vehicle type has its own set of tracks, adding a variety of gameplay. By 1997, Rare was starting to have its own identity outside of just Donkey Kong, so this game had several different characters to choose from, including the new mascots, Conker and Banjo. The game style included the standard Grand Prix adventure mode and multiplayer versus and battle modes. Graphically, it stood out as a very polished kart racing game for a 3D racing game. Mechanically, it's not as sound as some of its counterparts of the 5th generation, but it's still certainly one of the better kart racing games. Oh, and in this game, it's actually okay to hit the bananas on the track, as they do provide additional power-ups. In the 90s, LEGO became a more dominant presence in the video game arena, and this included a release across all platforms in 1999 for the game LEGO Racers. As I said earlier, everyone was getting in on the kart action. Unfortunately, this one did miss the mark a bit. The best version is on the N64, so that's the one I'll be discussing. As the game is nearly identical on the PlayStation, it controls and looks much better on Nintendo's 5th gen system. Mechanically, it's not bad and controls pretty well. The power-ups are few and unfortunately redundant. Players collect different color Legos as power-ups as the race goes on. Red attack, blue for protection, green for boost, yellow for a bomb. It gets kinda boring. I will say, although it has its faults, I had to get a chuckle out of some of the puns for the character names. Joan of Kart literally made me laugh when I read it. And the level designs are half decent. Overall, this one is pretty middle of the road as an entry into the kart racing genre. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's still worth playing and checking out if you enjoy kart racing games of the 5th gen. Megaman Battle and Chase. I debated putting this one on the list as some could consider it more of a combat racing game much like Wipeout, but without the power-ups. But I decided to put it on the list because of how original and unknown it is. The game came out in 1997 and was only released in the Japanese and European markets. Graphically, it looks more like a Super Nintendo game on steroids, as the environments use a mix of 2D sprites and 3D polygons. The game has 10 playable characters from the original Megaman series in 3 different modes. Unlike other kart racing games, this game does not utilize on-track power-ups. Instead, each character has their own attack ability that can recharge throughout the race. The game is mechanically sound and players are easy to control. This is certainly a unique entry into the genre, and if you have the ability to play a PAL region PS1 game, it's certainly worth checking out. The game Speed Punks was a PlayStation exclusive that came to the system in 2000. Developed by Funcom Dublin and published by Sony, the game allows you to take control of 9 original characters in 3 different game modes. This is the traditional kart racer through and through. There is a wide variety of power-ups and some pretty unique tracks. Graphically, it's not a bad looking game as it had a late release for the PlayStation, but this game definitely struggles in the mechanics department. The entire game feels as though you're racing on ice. The slightest overcompensation of turns sends you barreling off the track. I find, however, that the more you utilize the drift function, the less you run off the track, but drift should be used more of an option and not necessary for every single turn. Overall, if you can perfect the drift mechanic, this isn't a bad entry into the genre. It's original, different, and has a charm that some of the other kart racers just simply don't have. This list wouldn't be complete with the iconic South Park Rally game released in 2000. Though it came out in 2000 for the Dreamcast, I kept it on this list because I think the majority of us experienced this one on either the PlayStation or Nintendo 64. This was certainly not even close to one of the best kart racing games of the time, but South Park was a huge hit at this time, and everyone wanted to see what these foul-mouthed elementary school kids would say next. Mechanically, it isn't terrible, but it also isn't that great either. My biggest issue with the game is how easy it is to steer off course and then not realize you're going the wrong way until 5 to 10 seconds later. The game has a massive lineup of characters, which is up to 27 playable characters. Instead of the traditional power-ups, you can use power-ups like Saddam Hussein, Mr. Hanky, and the Underpants Gnomes. The game has 3 modes of play, and characters are voiced by the original voice actors. This game may fall short of being a great kart racer, but the parody of it makes for some great entertainment. Developed by Naughty Dog and published by Sony, Crash Team Racing was released in 1999 and was a direct competitor to Mario 64, and in my opinion was the only real kart racing game that could hold a candle to it. If you're watching this video, you're probably as familiar with this game as you are with Mario Kart 64. I remember first getting this game on a demo disc in 1999, and as a teenager with a PS1, it made me glad Sony had a kart racing game of this caliber. The tracks were beautiful and each kart and racer was unique. The power-ups were plentiful, and I really enjoyed the added feature of picking up fruit to make your power-up stronger. The arena levels were massive, and I really liked that you could select the type of power-ups that would be used during the stage. Overall, there's still a debate of which game is better. After all of the ones mentioned, Crash Team Racing and Mario Kart are still going strong on current-gen consoles, so let me know in the comments section which one you prefer. Well guys, there you have it. The kart racing games of the 5th generation. If there are any games you feel I've left off the list, let me know in the comments section below. If this is your first time here, I hope you can subscribe and stick around for a while. Until next time, do you even kart racing, bro? I'm the RetroBro, and I'll see you on the next video.